Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name's Steve, and if you're a fan of Fallout like I am, then you're going to love today's video because we're going to be 3D printing our very own Vault Boy. So let's dive in. For those who might not know, Vault Boy is the iconic mascot of the Fallout series, symbolising the optimism and resilience of the Vault dwellers. He's become a beloved figure in gaming culture, and today we're bringing him to life through 3D printing. So I loaded up the Vault Boy STL file, link in the description, and it's a little large initially, so I don't want him to be this large. So what I'm going to do is quickly go over and resize him to half the size, and this piece won't even fit on my printer, so we definitely got to make him smaller. So let me do that and we'll get right back into it. Right, now everything is in the correct size, and the way I'm going to print this is in these orientations. I'm printing the base up like this so that I don't get any weird effects on this base, because a lot of the times I've had it where it doesn't do flat surfaces well. So this way, if I print it this way up, I'll get a nice clean surface. So that's the one, and then the legs I'm printing this way because then I will get a nice clean surface, and the supports will attach to this side rather than attaching to the bottom where I need to attach the feet. So that will be the cleanup process on that one. And then this one, I want the initial top part to be clean, so I'll have him printing like this. I might have to sand down the bottom to get the rough edges off, and obviously there's going to be supports in there, so I'll have to clean all this up. But I'd rather clean this up because once it's on the legs, you're not going to see that. And then the feet, I'm going to just print normally like that, because the bottom parts, all the supports are going to be there. You're not going to see any of this, and that's all going to be hidden. And the same with the head. The head is going to print like this because all the supports will be underneath, and you're not really going to see it when it's attached to the body. So that's the orientation I'm going to print these files in. And for the quality, I'm going to print it at 0, 1, 2 layer height. The strength, I'm going to print it at 8 on grid, and I'm going to print it with normal supports and outer brim, and that's all. Everything else has been left alone. So once I get to the slicing, then I'm going to print. So I'll see you after the printing. Depending on your printer settings you have chosen, this can take several hours. So sit back, relax, and let your printer do the work. So now that every part has been printed and the sports have been removed, it's time to give all the parts a test fit, and he's very stable. Once I'm satisfied with how everything fits together, I move on to everyone's favourite tedious task, sanding. I start with a 120 grit sanding sponge on the raw print, then apply a coat of filler primer, then 240 grit sandpaper, another coat of filler primer, and another round of sanding using 400 grit sandpaper, and finally a coat of white primer, which leaves a nice smooth surface ready for paint. These are the paints I'm going to be using. I left out the black for the eyes and the white for the teeth. I begin painting the base with the biggest brush I can find, using dark aluminium or aluminum for my American viewers, which is made for an airbrush but goes on beautifully with one coat. Now I'm going to use Nuln Oil to weather the base to create that filthy metal effect. After applying a hefty amount of Nuln Oil, wipe the excess away with a kitchen towel and set aside to dry. Moving on to Vault Boy's uniform, I apply 2 very thin coats of Andrea blue to the legs and upper body parts, not being too concerned where the paint goes since I will come back later to clean up the areas I screwed up. I don't know about you, but as I was painting the upper part of the body and I finished putting the coat on, it gave me kind of Santa vibes. Tell me what you think in the comments. After the blue on the upper body portion dried, I masked off some of the blue area and gave up because I hate masking. And then I used Army Painter's Demonic Yellow, and let me tell you, it was a nightmare. I'm not sure if it was because the paint was nearing the end of the bottle or it had been sitting around for a while, but even after aggressively shaking it for 5 minutes, the paint came out thick and lumpy and dried horribly. So I tried to rescue it after additional shaking, putting it on a wet palette, watering it down until there was more water than paint you could go swimming in it, and stirring it around forever. I eventually got a passable result. So once my sanity was attacked by attempting to get that yellow correct, I moved on to the touch-up step to remedy any faults and make them lines smooth and tidy. Now look at this cheerful face that I drenched with a highly watered down basic skin tone. It's nearly a wash at this point, but that doesn't matter since it's just the first layer. Not wanting to waste that basic skin tone wash, I give the hands a quick coat with the same colour and then I put aside to dry. It's time to tackle the tiny details, the part that people dread, but not me. So I grabbed my favourite 00 brush and begin painting in the mouth using Vallejo white, and look at them pearly whites. I appreciate the fact that Vault Boy has soulless black eyes. It makes it so much easier to paint, since painting regular eyes is tough. The one thing about painting I have learned is you have to have patience and you have to take your time, otherwise it really punishes you. So, not wanting to have a repeat performance of using the same yellow as before, I placed it in the bin and bought a Vallejo flat yellow. What was I thinking using an army painter over Vallejo? I'm sorry Vallejo, I'm not sponsored by them, but if you somehow see this video, give me a call. Now comes the fun bit. I've painted all the pieces and got them all prepared and we are ready to assemble. So what I'm going to be using is some Loctite super glue and let's get to building. And there you have it. I now have my very own 3D printed Vault Boy model and he's ready to join the collection or stand guard at my desk. Thanks for joining me on this 3D printing adventure. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, hit the bell icon to stay notified of my latest projects. Comment below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. And of course, happy printing and I'll see you in the next one.